How did this affect you? Do you have any memories of how that behavior affected you as you was growing up?
Yeah, so I mean that affected me, pretty good. My dad, and my sister. I have a sister as well. I don't really talk about my sister, but I have a sister too. My sister doesn't probably really know because she was young when the beating started. Like she wasn't even alive actually when the beating started. My dad would go out from the bar, come home, and just come home and he'd start swinging. Wake me up out of my sleep, punch me in my sleep.
Gotcha.
And I don't really like.
How old was you?
Probably like 7, maybe 8, something like that.
Okay.
Still in there, but I didn't know back then, it's just, he used to tell me to take it like a man, and just take punches, so I, took punches.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it was very hard. I mean, it's not, that's a tough subject, but that's okay,
They tap on it and we can tap moving forward. So, that's trauma.
That's right.
Period is trauma. There's no getting around it because at that age, you are still processing. You are still identifying, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And what we download at that age is who we carry, what we carry, you know what I mean? So take me from the behavior of your father hitting you into you moving on into being Will.
So, I mean, the beating started like when I was 7. My sister was born when I was 8 years old. She was about 1. It progressed over. So when my sister, or no, we'll just continue with me. So we'll leave, her part out for now. But I took the beatings like I was saying. I just took them and I took them, and.
So what was the justification, not to cut your wisdom off, but what was the justification that he would say he's beating you for? Because I know, like, I try to play that victim conscious shit with my mother, you know what I'm saying? But I was bad as shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. So as I progressed, further in my life, I realized that she was beating my ass because I was bad, you know what I mean? So, but you saying that you didn't have no behavior, it was just, a rage, alcoholic rage, you would come home and take it out. I mean, what was he justifying?
Well, as I got older, I learned that my mom was never around during those times. So instead of taking, her, he took on me. But when she was around, he would beat her too. Like my mom would toss her multiple times. I remember one year during Thanksgiving, she was my dad. God knows what he's doing drinking, something. But he got angry because something so I don't really like speaking ill of my parents because they're still my parents, but this is part of my story, and this is what that trauma, like you were saying, like this is the shit that part of my language still that you need to hear, like this, and like I said, that's just it's part of my story, but he would take it out on me because lo and behold, my mom wouldn't be home because she knew when he came home what was going to happen.
Gotcha.
So, but she didn't know he was actually going to take it out on me. When she stayed home, and she took the beatings. But then when I finally learned what was actually going on, I used to jump in, and then he would beat me, he would beat her.
Okay.
And then I don't know if it really ever happened to my sister. When I turned like 13, and not even just 13, but anytime I could get out of the house, I know I had it. And then.
You said
13.
Okay, so question. How was you emotionally? Did you become aggressive? Did you become like hateful? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I love my mother to death. She's beautiful. I mean, but you know what I mean? Like after like and it got more. The progression of that to the point like then she just realized like nah, it's over. Like and you know what I mean? So from 13 on, and I think that's like 13 is when she just said like you know what I mean? Because she told me one day she seen it in my eyes that she just said okay. So but I was angry.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I was angry. So well, how did that anger affect your life?
So, I mean, the anger didn't really hit me. I guess you said I put all my anger into like playing sports. Like we used to play hockey. So playing like on the street, we were playing in tournaments that they always used to have. And I mean,
Very popular around this area. Yeah.
right. That's where I used to take my anger out on.
Okay. Gotcha.
And you know, you can't like hit people, you know, there was no fighting, but we used to actually, you know, playing hockey, we used to go down and we used to, we go to like work sites, like construction work sites, and we would steal the caging.
Okay.
And so what we did is we built a hockey rink around the basketball court.
Okay.
All kinds of stolen fucking.
So you was already indulging into shit you're supposed to be doing.
So
let's back up for a second. Because I wanted the audience to get a clearer understanding because we just jumped. So 13, what do 13-year-old Will looks like? You get into your athlete, you get into sports, recreational league, etc., right? But what is your behavior developing? Like when did you stop picking up behavior that was high risk?
So,
at 13?
At 13. So 13 is when I first started smoking weed because my next door neighbor was, you know, she was a mother to like one of the kids that we was hanging out with.
So who put you on to smoking weed?
My friend's mother.
Your friend?
She did. And that, you know, I think it was, the first time was 4th of July actually. And she came over to us because we were all outside. And you know, back then, you know, you could stay out as late as you wanted, you know, because we were all playing around, you know, having a good time. But then she came over with beers too.
Okay.
You know, and that's when I first got that feeling of getting high and intoxication, because you give a 13-year-old a beer, you know, that's never had alcohol before in their life.
Absolutely.
You know,
What did you feel?
I loved it. I was hooked right there.
You was hooked?
Hooked. Hooked. I never want, because all the pain that I felt was gone.
Okay.
You know, I just stuffed it all away because I felt different, and I liked, you know, I loved it. And that kind of progressed, and you know, we'll get into that later on too, but that's where it started. And I don't want to jump too far, you know, because the questions and stuff like that, but you know, I was a full-blown alcoholic by 16.
So what's 13 to 16 look like? What is your routine, right? How you getting money, first of all? What is your routine? What did the routine look
So 13 is I'm still going to school.
Okay.
You know, at least I'm trying to go to school, you know, still. We're going out, you know, after school, or if we're not even going to school, you know, we're going to my friend's house to steal liquor from the cabinet.
Okay.
We also found out that, you know, we found out where his mom had the weed, so we'd be stealing her weed.
How much
too.
weed?
I mean, back in the day, it was probably, you know, like,
Yeah.
so we would just take what we wanted out of it because we didn't think she was gonna know, you know, but, so that's when I started everything right there at that 13.
Okay.
And like I said, it just progressed. So at 13 through 16, school, getting high, drinking,
Okay.
and then that's when the party scene
And
came.
stealing.
And stealing,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Okay.
stealing, yeah.
All right, so let's get to 16.
16, all about partying,
Okay.
nonstop. So at 16, you know, my parents would allow me to bring my friends over, and they call it what parents call it drinking in safety.
I got you.
So now you're drinking in safety, right?
I did that.
Supposedly.
Beer, though.
Right, beer.
Yeah, beer.
Smoking weed, beer.
No, she ain't having that.
Right. But then, you know, at 16 too, so like I said, full-blown alcohol.
Yeah.
Every time I can go to a party or I can have a party, I'm having people on school nights at my house till like 1, 2 in the morning.
Okay.
We're playing cards, we're playing dominoes, we're playing whatever, you know.
So what is your levels now? Like how much can you like?
So at 16, I was probably up to, let's say maybe like I could push it, but probably 15, 20. I could easily put down 15, 20, or if we're going to like hard like a, you know, probably, you know, half a bottle.
Mm. Okay.
You know, and then, like I said, that's where we also got introduced at that time to the bike.
That's what we was getting like really toxic. Like
That was.
did it cause you any trouble? Did you have any, you know, altercations and police contacts?
Oh yeah. So 16 and I spoke. At that time, I would say, in the 30s, and my education became teaching me how to steal cars. So now I'm learning how to steal cars, and you know, me and my friend would go out after he taught us, you know, come with us, you know, but we would steal a car. What happened with
What
it?
was the purpose of stealing cars? Was you strip this? Because that was the thing back in the day. You know what I mean? I caught a charge when I was young playing with that, just to joyride. You know what I mean? Just to ride.
Just to ride, and then sometimes, you know, he would throw us each like $300.
Gotcha.
So he was obviously either chopping them up, selling them, committing crimes with them.
No, he was shopping it.
Right.
But he throwing you $300. He had to connect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
definitely.
but again, back at 16, you know, now it's drinking. I'm living in the North Shore in Beverly, but I'm commuting out to Boston, going to Charlestown.
You double dutch.
Right, double dutching, right? So now I'm living two lives. I'm living that good suburban life, or what I thought was, you know, the good suburban life. But going out to Charlestown back then too, like, you know, that shit was no joke. You know, there was a lot of trouble back in Charlestown. You know, and that's kind of where I got into the hate part of my life too, because I didn't really hate anybody, you know, but it was just that
the
influence that was out there.
Okay, what was your what would you want to Charlestown for?
Basically, I was at 16. I'm going out to Charlestown now to buy more pills because I progressed to drinking.
What kind of pills?
Vicodin, Percocets, you know, whatever I could get my hands on back
So
then.
you using it or you selling it?
I'm using it.
Okay.
I'm selling it, but I'm using it
How
too.
much?
And at that time, not that many, because I wasn't really big into the pills. I was just like to take them because it would take the edge off if we were going out to do something.
So you're just more of a drinker and smoking and smoking, okay.
But like if we were going out to do something that night, like those pills would take the edge off. So that's where I first got introduced to, you know, to opiates.
Okay. So the progression, I'm following your progression. For the audience, we're following your progression because you started young, right? But you know, in Beverly is a different perception. It's a different reality, it's a different flow. But when you cross over that bridge into the beam, that's a totally different reality. So you can go from being humble because you don't really have to really be aggressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Beverly, you can get busy because they're there too.
Yeah.
But when you cross over that bridge, you cross it over a different state of mind. You know what I mean? So the state of mind that you would start to, like when you got to Charlestown, was what, like, because you know you got a lot of stick kids back then. You had a lot of, you know, they used to do their thing.
Yeah.
I know that history very well.
So now, like it's like I said, taking the Vicodin and Percocets, that's taking the edge off. So instead of stealing like one car a night, we're going, and we're going more.
Okay.
You know, so we could be stealing 2, we could be stealing 5. Because now we know there's a spot where we can bring the cars. So what happened that night. But we never saw that person again. And he was one of those people that was supposed to be at all those parties. So right there, I grabbed my cousin, you know, when we weren't seeing that person no more. I said, hey, listen, man, maybe this isn't what you should be doing. You know, because now, like I was saying, 16, 17, we're progressing out of selling weed. We're progressing out of selling, you know, pills, and now we're progressing to cocaine. And now cocaine is a whole different animal itself. You know, and when you get something, you know, you get a package, you know, those people want their money.
Oh, that, for sure.
And they want that money.
Yeah. But they didn't sometimes, you know what I mean? Because they used to get it too. You know what I mean? Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
This platform is keeping it real.
Right, absolutely.
You know, but this is what I want to ask you before we go on into the next level of the hustle. You know what I mean? Because it's always the progression. Though, you know, we're on the pressure now. We're following this progression. So you said that you had to step off from your cousin because he was just like, he was validated. You know what I mean? He wasn't about that, but they accepted him. So now he was living up to the expectations that he had to live up to in order to fit in with that clique, right? You said you stepped off on him. So you broke away from that. Why you just didn't stop? Because the stop sign is right there and you still flew past the stop sign. Why you didn't stop?
So I didn't stop because I saw from selling pills and selling weed to progressing to selling 8 balls of cocaine.
Okay.
And that money was just flying.
But you just realized, not to cut your wisdom off, but you just realized like, yo, this is like, this is, you know, this ain't for me. That affiliation wasn't for you, right? Because it was another level, because there's levels to this, you know what I mean? And you stepped away from it, you stepped the progression to still be indulging into, you know, chemicals is still there. So the fear of the violence, the fear of the next level of the murders and et cetera wasn't for you, but it didn't scare you enough to stay away from the chemical.
No.
All right, so I just want to follow you. So now we at the 8 ball. We selling weight, we selling 8 balls.
Selling 8 balls at a time, 2, 3, 4, depending on who you're, because certain clientele has certain people that are just gonna lowball. You're talking quality and quantity. And the money just was pouring in. And that's when I started getting addicted to cocaine as well.
Okay,
so now we're doing.
Hold on a second. So you start hustling the coke, right? There was no cocaine use.
Nope.
So this was a whole new. This is a whole new animal.
Because I noticed if we would go pick up an ounce and I sold so much, I had so much for myself, or I could make extra. So as long as I had that money, whatever was there was just profit in my pocket.
All right, so how did you come to experiment with coke?
Just late nights.
Late
nights. Sometimes you go in 24, 36 hours, but you making, you know, a decent amount of money. And you just gotta stay awake.
Gotcha.
So now you're staying awake, you're making money. Now you're partying all night again. And I got a phone call one night. You know, I'm completely geeked out of my mind, doing coke. Probably been up for 2 days or so.
Okay, so one second. Excuse me. You say you started sniffing because you needed the energy, right? So how much was you sniffing?
I mean, me and my cousin were probably going through, I don't know, together, you know, maybe I would start off, like, I was going through maybe like a gram, 2 hours.
Okay.
Just to stay, like, you know, awake and alive and keep going.
And how old are you?
So it's probably about 17, 18.
17,
17, 18. And also, you know, go back a little bit, like those at 16 here, I learned about like my anger and like how much like violence.
Hold up, bro. Hold up.
I know. I just
Hold up, bro.
It's okay. It's a part of the story that got messed up.
No, hold up, bro. You can't dislike violence and then like violence. You're confusing me. You know what I mean? So
Well,
you thought you didn't want the
I thought I did, which is correct.
but the smoke comes along with it. You jump off the porch with the expectation to get paper, party, relax, validation, but then the fine print is the violence. So basically, you say, "I don't want them to think that you're contradicting yourself." Basically, it's the fine print.
Right.
The fine print that comes with the fine print, that comes with the culture, that comes with it.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it.
That's right.
All right, so let's say you start to understand that you have that taste to get busy.
So it started one night where it ended up being, a fight at a party that we were at, and I'm like 16, and I never got into a fight,
You were 17 now.
or 17, all right.
It's 17, 18, yeah.
So when I was 16, what I was saying is like, that's where that came, like, where I went to that fight, we'll just skip that real quick, but we'll go into it, but I was 16, I never got punched before, never got punched before. I got punched, and I was like, from the beatings that I used to take, that was nothing.
Got you.
It was nothing. So that level kind of progressed and getting into like 17, 18 again. That's where the violence really started to come in. And that's where I was saying this is where I had to kind of step away, because there was one night me and my cousin were told to go pick up something. So now we're going to pick up something for someone. And we all usually know how that kind of shit's gonna go. So we go and we go to pick it up, and we go to meet the guy. Nobody told us about anything about money being exchanged, simple, here you go, leave type situation. And he didn't want to give it up. So now my cousin's getting nervous, I'm getting nervous, because we don't know if there's gonna be some kind of setup. I'm in a place where I'm used to being in Beverly, right? So I know my way around. Charlestown's a whole different animal. It might be small, but I still don't know where to go this way, that way. So what we did was we ended up completely beating the guy up, stealing what he had, and now me and my cousin are at a hotel. So we robbed him for about, I'm gonna say, about 5 ounces of cocaine, I think it was. So, no, we got problems, and we know something we just can't know. So I'm in the bathroom, I come out, I'm doing a line, we're trying to get to that point. My cousin's just like, something's gonna happen, and I'm like, all right, man, we're in a hotel, whatever it was. So where else? I'm gonna get a couple drinks, so we can, calm down and shit. So I'm going to buy alcohol, come back, and I noticed as I'm walking, I didn't come back, as I'm walking over, I hear a car kind of like screech into the parking lot. So I didn't know what the hell was going on, so I go over to the store, random shit, somebody's driving crazy or something, I don't know. And I go to the store and I come back, and there's two dudes in the room. They got my cousin asking where the shit is, and we weren't stupid, we didn't leave it in the place, we only left a small amount. So now they got my cousin, and now we're talking about guns. So now they got me, they got my cousin, they wants to call a couple people. So my cousin called one person, and 50 people showed up. And
from the Boston area?
In Boston area.
So now, Southie?
So now you got 50 people.
Southie?
Southie. So now you got 50 people, and that night was a level of violence I don't think I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
What I do know, and what I can remember from that part, was I don't think those two dudes ever walked out. I don't think they ever walked out, and if they did, they were someplace else afterwards.
Oh, I got what you're saying. It just clicked to me because your cousin's affiliated. He's affiliated.
So I don't think those two people ever walked out. stepped away, you know, and I came back to North Shore and I stayed in the North Shore. I didn't go back to, I mean, because that was a level of violence I wasn't even ready for. You know, when you start adding drugs and you start adding alcohol into that situation, you know, when you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, yeah, you know, that's where that progressed for me. So now I'm addicted to cocaine. I'm addicted to drinking. I'm trying to do the pills as well. You know, I'm trying to sell on the side. And my life just became.
You 18? 18, 19?
18. You know, and that's when I met, you know, one girl that I dated. You know, I mean, I dated a couple others, but this girl I kind of like fell in love with. And it was like one of those girls where, you know, I even told, you know, my girlfriend, which is here with me, that, you know, that was the love of my life at the time. And she was.
Okay.
You know.
To clear that up.
Right.
Oh
no, she knows.
I didn't want no smoke. He's trying to clear that up. He didn't want no smoke going home. No,
so I mean, so I got the love of my life now, but I mean, she was that girl that, you know, I could marry.
Okay.
You know, and she stuck with me through the shit that I was going through, and she was always there to support me. You know, so 19 now, right? Like you were saying, 19, and
so
she just.
One second. Is your progression? Are you getting sick?
So now I'm just.
I don't want you to go from the girlfriend. I just want to.
Right.
See, I want to see with the behavior you are at with this relationship.
So now, with the drugs and the alcohol, I'm just always like I was telling you, like I didn't ever have to go sick because I had my cousin. So when I actually did have to go see him, he was full.
No, I'm not saying you going without. I'm saying with your body. The body has taken over, and now that's his cravings. You know what I mean? So the obsessive compulsive is already there.
So now I'm drinking more, I'm smoking more, I'm sniffing more, I'm popping more pills, and you know, my girlfriend's, you know, at that time, like I said, you know, the love of my life, everything like that. You know, she's telling me you gotta calm down. You know, you need to slow down. She's like, you know, I'm gonna stay with you, and I'm gonna try to help you through this. And you know, the next day after she said that, the next day, we woke up, and now we're living, you know, together. You know, we got our own apartment, and she didn't feel right, so we're like, all right, well, you know, we're gonna go to the hospital, go to the doctors, and whatever we need to do. And we found out that she had stage 4 terminal cancer. So I don't know how to stage 4 because I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but you know, she had stage 4 cancer, and that was one of the hardest times in my life. You know, I mean, I've been through some hard times, but that one's a whole different animal. Because I'm talking about the mental part. So now she's got 9 months to live, right? And I'm so fucked up all the time that I'm trying to make time for myself. I'm trying to make sure she's, you know, she's okay, and she's taken care of. You know, so she tries the chemo. The chemo's not working. She had pancreatic cancer. Sorry, she did pancreatic cancer, and that's where that lying part of that disease kind of kicked in, because I had to look at her every single day, you know, and tell her that she was going to be all right. You know, and we knew, she knew that she wasn't. You know, she didn't know she only lasted 6 months. And but I would make sure, like, every day, you know, I'd get up and I would do what I had to do, you know, drink, smoke, do some more coke, because I couldn't handle my own life. Now I got to try to deal with, you know, the love of my life that stuck through with me. You know, through a lot of shit. And I did, man. I woke up every day and I had to lie to that girl. And that was hard. It was hard waking up, you know, because I didn't even want to do it, but I knew if I didn't do it, you know.
So what is Will like? Let's move forward. You know, not to say that's not an important part,
right.
You know what I mean? But what is Will like, you know, after this ordeal of her you know, descended to the next level.
So,
And where are you at psychologically? Where are you at physically? What direction are you headed towards?
I completely checked out.
Okay.
You know,
So emotionally, you
emotionally now, right?
Okay.
Emotionally, I'm just checked out.
All right. So you're on your vacation.
Right. Yep.
You're on your
So
vacation.
now it's just
Gotcha.
constantly drinking, constantly, you know, doing coke, constantly popping pills.
Gotcha.
And I'm starting to find out now that the opiates are doing more for me than cocaine.
Okay.
So now cocaine's kind of going towards the back end,
Gotcha.
and the pills are becoming heavier and heavier. And then, you know, my cousin started showing me about perk 30s and how you can take perk 30s and you can crush them up and you can sniff them. So now I'm sniffing away on fucking perk 30s. You know, I'm stealing my girlfriend's prescription. So this is the girl that I love, right?
Yeah.
The girl that I love, and this is what this disease does to you. If you can literally love someone, right? And then you steal from them.
Yeah.
Stealing from them.
Hey, you piece of shit.
So I'm right. I said, hell yeah, listen, man, I love the piece of shit. Yeah, absolutely, she's dying, right? Piece of shit, dude. Biggest piece of shit in the world. You know, I know that. You know, I
No,
know.
not like that. At that.
Right. No, like that. Right. I'm not.
Shit is clear that period. But that's
At that
state of mind. You know what I mean? That is like straight self-centered.
yeah, absolutely.
No offense, I wasn't trying to bring you
That's
up.
good. Classic guy. So I'm doing her dirty. I'm stealing her prescriptions, you know. And she wasn't taking them anyways. You know. So I was like, well, it's just going to waste, you know. What the hell? So now I'm popping the even fucking Percocets. And like then, you know, kind of edge off, so I'm popping billions. Disaster. Walking disaster.
Oh, your hustle is starting to, you know what I mean? Because once you start to get that body, the body's in control, you know, that obsession is there, that you know what I mean? What's your life like?
Chaotic.
Chaotic.
Straight fucking chaos.
Take us through that. Take us through that journey, because now that takes you to your freedom.
So now I'm 19, so after my girlfriend passed away, you know, I was just heartbroken, you know, and now I'm on one like the first one I've ever been on, which I thought was the worst, but we will get back, we'll get into the other runs later when we talk. But this run, now we're just robbing people, like we're not even paying for shit no more.
Okay.
Now we're just going and we're straight stealing.
Taking it.
We're taking it.
Gotcha.
We're making enemies everywhere we go.
Okay.
And finally, what happened was, this is the first time I went to jail when I was 19 years old.
How did that happen?
So we actually robbed an informant
Mm.
for the Boston police, I'm assuming. Boston police. Yeah, like he had a bunch of drug deal he was supposed to do.
Okay.
We got word that there was a pretty penny sitting in that house.
Okay.
So now we're going in 5 deep and we're robbing that house.
Gotcha.
We're taking everything we could. And that's my first experience with jail.
So was that a B&E? Was it
So-
home invasion? What was it?
The cops got us on a home invasion during the night. Right, so now, right. And not only that, but now we're caught with all the drugs too. So now that was my first experience with Middleton. And that was 2.5 years. And I was told by because he wasn't there. He told me, he's like, listen, you're gonna shut your mouth. Because if you don't shut your mouth, you're not gonna make it in there. So when I got to prison, you know, I didn't know what to expect. This is my first time going to jail. I don't know what the fuck's going on, you know. I'm going through processing and what do? I go into that court and I ate that. Like I ate it. Because I saw my cousin sitting there and he was sitting there with some people that.
So you say you ate it, you didn't have no damn choice. Oh, you took it to wait for everything.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Right.
Oh, you look at that.
Yeah. So I ate it.
Right.
Because I was told that if I said anything, you know, that was going to be the end of it. And I don't know what jail's like, dude, because I've never been in jail.
Gotcha.
So I got my first experience with Middleton. That was 2.5 years.
That shit sucked.
That was.
Yeah,
It's horrible.
Oh.
absolutely fucking horrible. Right? So, and the way my family is that you go by yourself. No one's come help you. You by yourself.
So how long?
So I get to prison, and I do that 2.5 years. But when I get there, right?
Yes.
Somebody comes up to me with, a message and says, hey, you know what, you're all set, don't worry about it. Taken care of while I was in there for that 2.5 years.
Gotcha. So you caught a county bill and a home invasion?
Mm-hmm.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And drugs, that's
And
a
drugs.
blessing.
And drugs.
That's a gift. That's a gift from the heavens. So let's move forward, right? So you get out, what life look like when you get out?
So now, 21 years old.
Oh, okay, so now you...
21. Oh, 21, right?
Yeah.
2.5 years. Oh, yeah, 21.
Yeah.
So now I'm 21 years old. So now I really don't talk to my family. I still live with my mom. I still live with my dad. It's just rough. It's like getting out of jail, dude. I'm so used to being told when shit when to eat,
Gotcha.
and it's rough. I don't know, what to do with my life because I've been so addicted, and then even in jail I was getting what I wanted. And I didn't even have to pay for it. It was all on the house. So now I got everything I need. I get out of jail. And I started thinking like, damn, fuck, I gotta try to change my life here a little bit. Like this shit's gotten just way out of. So I tried going to meetings. 21 years old. Going into Beverly, going to meetings. Where I live. And I didn't hear nothing because that disease was telling me that you worthless. You don't gotta be there. Like you need to be back out there doing this. So that disease is fully taken over now at 21. So I tear my shoulder about mid-July, I want to say, 21. Never did nothing with it, So now from 21 to 24, it's really nothing, man. Like 21 I stopped drinking. Like I just couldn't do it no more. I was still doing coke, still doing pills, and I just stopped drinking. Like I don't know, I just couldn't handle it no more. Now the drugs took over. So like alcohol's out the window. I'm not drinking anymore. And we get to 24. I meet my new girlfriend. We move in together. We have a kid. And I just couldn't really move my shoulder, dude. Like I couldn't feel it because all the drugs and the pills and everything. I go to the hospital and I just really couldn't move. My fucking arms hurt and like my shoulder. So they told me that I needed, to get surgery. So I got the surgery, 2004 was it, right? Got that surgery, and that's where I got introduced into Oxycontin, which was a whole new level of something I wasn't even ready for. And my doctor at that time was like, I'm only going to give you 30 at a time. Just take one every day. He was only giving me the 40s at that time. But those shits were making me sick. And if most people don't know, Oxycontin is actually hydrocodone mixed with, I believe it's, not morphine, it might be morphine. It might be morphine, I forget. But it's something like that. And those shits are making me sick, dude, because those shits are strong. And I go back a month later, the doctor checks out my arm. He's like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna bump your script from 40s, I'm gonna bump it to 80s. And I said, wait a minute, I'm getting sick off these ones. Like, what do I need 80s for? And he's like, well, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna double it. So instead of 30, I'm gonna give you 60, and I'm gonna give you 80.
Okay.
And I didn't know at the time when I got that script, right, that I was gonna get full-blown addicted to opiates. Full-blown. So now, I'm going to take my pills every day. I'm taking like a normal person. I'm just popping them. I'm not sniffing them because I didn't know you could sniff them at that time. And I started noticing that my prescription was fucking going low, and I'm like, where's all my pills going? My daughter's mother was taking them, and confronted her about it one day. And she's like, well, I'm gonna show you something. She's like, watch this. And she showed me how to take the coat off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just put it right in your mouth, take the napkin, wipe it off, let it dry for about 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
Now you're crushing that up and you're sniffing it.
Mm-hmm.
I sniffed half of one, no joke, for the first time, right on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Out cold, that was the first time I overdosed.
Mm-hmm. How many times did you overdose altogether?
Altogether, 17. 17.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, we can talk about that in a little bit too, but that's gonna go along with God's plan.
You know that.
And so now, you know, overdosed, and what the fuck happened? You know, woke up and was like, yeah, you were dead for like 5 minutes. We had to bring you back to life.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, well, you got enough Oxycontin in your system. You know, like you have a chin for this because the cops were there too.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I got my prescription, you know, at the house. He's like, well, you know, just when you're taking those, because, you know, my arm.
Yeah.
I'm still in the, you know, the casket. You got to be in that for 6 to 8 months back then. And so I go home, and now I'm like, oh shit, you know what? That fucking felt great. And that's where that disease gets you too. Is like, it's like, you know, you just keep going. So now I'm just going and going, and I'm blowing through my scripts, probably within 3 weeks now. So I'm going through 60, 80s in 3 weeks between me and my girlfriend.
Okay.
And I keep going after my doctor, and he keeps up and up. So now I'm getting 120 a month with 80s.
Gotcha.
And then I'm learning that like other people out there, you know, will buy these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, now I'm back in, so now I can sell these again.
Sure.
I didn't know how much you could sell them for, so I was selling them for like $10, and you know, my cousin comes out to me, he's like, you know, because I'm talking to my cousin again, you know, I talked to him briefly through periods of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back around again, and he's like, crazy, you'd be selling half of that for $30, and you selling those for 10?
Mm.
A whole one?
Mm.
So now the money's really coming in, because now you get 120, you're doing $40 for a half,
Yeah,
you know, or you selling them for 60 for a whole.
you know that.
All right, so now we get into, we're going out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're meeting people halfway from.
What state?
So we're going down to West Virginia.
Oh, man.
So now we drive into West Virginia.
Okay.
We meet a guy from Florida,
Okay.
and we're picking up about 5,000 to 6,000 at a time,
Mm.
and we're bringing them back, and we're just selling.
So you back in the shop?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And at this point in my life, you know, my girlfriend and my daughter left my life.
Mm.
So now I'm just bitter, you know, sour, bitter. Lost my job.
How old are you?
24. I was 24.
Okay.
So, you know, we in 2005, 2006. So I'm about 26 now.
Okay.
Full blown addicted.
Gotcha.
You know, causing more ruckus and more shit with my cousin again.
Gotcha.
We're just making money. And now we're selling to the police.
Mm.
And I thought,
In Beverly?
I'm not going to really say because I don't want any.
But you was back in
It
Massachusetts?
was in Massachusetts.
Okay, I got you.
So now I'm selling to detectives. And I thought this shit was, we were going to get arrested again.
Mm.
And no, they were buying them. What they were doing with them,
Gotcha.
you know, that's on.
You know what's crazy about that is that, not to cut off your wisdom, is that the radar epidemic for that, Massachusetts was the light that made the feds really look at the epidemic of the pills. You know what I mean? Massachusetts is one of the states that was hit the hardest with that crisis. You know what I mean? So you say you was dealing with the law enforcement and.
So we're selling to, you know, cops on a regular basis, probably 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, I got you.
And
So now you just manipulating
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Right?
everything's getting manipulated.
Yeah.
Everything's still all fucked up.
That progression.
My life is just,
Yes.
at that point, dude, is just,
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
You the man now.
right. Well, I'm the man, but I'm
You
also.
selling to the police. You the man. You know what I mean? And I've been, and I was, because I ain't been shit. I was all my life. And I ain't never heard nobody say they sold anything to the police. So your head is like super high. Super high. Okay, so take me through the Oxycontin process.
Little did I know that, there was like a pandemic,
Yeah.
or not even a pandemic, but an epidemic with Oxycontin down in Florida, and how bad it actually was.
Yes, for sure.
And
So,
now I'm hanging out, at a college, I'm selling to college kids.
okay.
I found clientele that I never even thought I had.
You up top when you say in Florida? You up here or you?
No, so I was talking about how bad it was down in
Yeah,
Florida,
I missed you.
and I didn't even know.
Okay, that's it.
And, now my cousin dude, we're meeting, he's going back to Charlestown, he's selling his stuff out in Charlestown.
Okay.
I'm selling my stuff around in the North Shore.
Gotcha.
And, the people that he's with are taking, their piece of that action because they're fronting the money. So they're taking their piece of the action. And, just one day, we got set up. Somewhere down the line, somebody wants to take over, whatever happens, so now we got set up. So now I'm going back to jail.
Okay.
And at this point, I try to have a regular job, right? So like, I work a regular job, I'm trying to sell drugs.
You don't know.
So I'm working at Wendy's in the Point in Salem, and the clientele down there is crazy.
Okay.
So I'm hiding my shit inside Wendy's,
Yeah, definitely.
and that's where I'm putting stuff,
Okay.
and the cops could never find it.
Mm.
Because I would put it up to the ceiling,
Gotcha.
and the cops could never find it. They were looking everywhere in there, because they came one day when I was working
Yes.
for a search warrant, and they tore that shit apart.
Gotcha.
Lo and behold, I got fired that day too. But, so I'm just hiding stuff, in there. And they couldn't find nothing, so they just kept looking and looking, and I stopped, right there. I didn't stop my addiction, but I stopped, selling. So now, I'm fully blown addicted to Oxycontin. My life is shit, I'm barely seeing my daughter, and if I do, when she is there, I'm still leaving to go make money for to get high. I got it right there.
Okay.
So now I'm going to get high, so I'm leaving, and then I'm never coming back. So,
Gotcha.
I'm just leaving my daughter behind. My girlfriend at that time, or my ex-girlfriend, she wanted nothing to do with me. Which now I can see, I don't blame.
Yeah, for sure.
And so my life's just getting worse and worse and worse, and we're just going through it. And now I go back to jail again for another 2.5 years. And I go caught for drugs. So now I'm going back.
Wow.
So now I'm doing another 2.5 in Milton.
I'm gonna have to pause this. I like it though, because you're gonna come back. This is part 1. And I'd like to invite you back to finish your story.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because the time is up. Thank you for joining DEK. We really appreciate your support. Please hit that subscribe button, because we really need your help. And we shall come back with part 2 of this story. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.